Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. It's Haja Scott. It's Haja Scott with Elevation Grace TV, aka Elevation Grace Ministries. Oh, here we go. I gotta get live on Facebook and YouTube. But hey, Instagram, what's up, you guys? It's Haja Scott with Elevation Grace TV. We are trying to get the go live going over here on Instagram and YouTube. Yep, looks like we're live. Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. I know I just saw a couple of y'all earlier today, but I'm back and we're gonna do a Bible study, but it's gonna be quick tonight, you guys, because I am out on work vacay mode and got plans and stuff coming up. So but I did have this word that I did want to share with you guys. We're definitely going to explore this more on next time as well, for the next session. But I did want to introduce this today, and tonight is actually entitled Can You See the Plan of God Unfolding? This is the Bible study series, positioned. And so tonight we're talking about, can you see the plan of God unfolding? So those of y'all who are with me, let's go into it. Now I see it looks like I lost Instagram it looks like I lost Facebook and YouTube. So we may just have to go forward with Instagram, and then I'll do a post over to Facebook and to YouTube and get it going here, because right now it looks like I'm kicked off. So we'll just keep going with Instagram. So tonight, guess what? We get to jump into a little bit of the book of Esther, because God is talking about, what he's talking about is, can you see it? Can you see the plan of God unfolding? That means we need to look around some more to see what is happening. And the question is, what's around you versus what's in you? What's around you versus what is in you? So we've been pondering and sitting with God with the question, why am I here? Why am I in this place? Why am I connected in the way that I'm connected? Why have you placed me here? Why are my feet on this ground, on this territory, in this place, in this season, in this hour, in this time? And so today God is talking about he wants to call to your attention, what's around you versus what's in you. And so we're going to take a little dive into the book of Esther, and we're going to start there tonight. And I think with just looking a little bit at her life, her upbringing, and the circumstances that are surrounding her, or were surrounding her, we can use her story to help us see a little bit of our story. And so we're going to start with one quick thing, and that is, before we even dive into her story, just her name. So how many people know that her Hebrew name was not Esther? That was the name that was given to her, because remember, she was there I guess you could say it captured. She was not enslaved, but she was in some sort of what you would call bondage. They had been taken away from their people, from Jerusalem. And these are God's people. And so they had to kind of integrate into society there. And so that was not her Hebrew name. Her Hebrew name, from her origin, was Hadassah. And so Hadassah, we look up the meaning of Hadassah. It means myrtle or tree. Myrtle tree. A myrtle is a tree. So it means myrtle. So we're talking about tree. And in this, prophetically, for anybody that knows, trees are plantings of God. Let's see if it picked back up. I think we might have picked back up with YouTube and Facebook. Let's see. I think we picked back up. I don't know. So trees, prophetically, in visions and things like that, when God is talking about that, this is again, with this biblical root, speaks to plantings of the Lord, something that the Lord has planted, something that the Lord has rooted. It is a planting of the Lord. And so this is speaking to divine positioning by God. In Isaiah 61, God says, in our time of restoration to our true nature, the Spirit of the Lord will be upon our lives, and we shall be called trees, oaks, that's about tree, a planting of righteousness. And so we understand that trees don't just appear. They're planted, they're seeded, and they don't appear overnight. Trees actually take a long time to grow and mature, but it starts with a seed. And so that seed had to be planted in order for it to grow into a tree. And so that means it's a strategic initiative of God. It is something that God initiated that is strategic. It's not haphazard. It's not, it just happened. It's not coincidental. It is a planting. It's a positioning. It's because I want something to grow and mature in this place. So I have selected this place to plant this tree. That's what her name means. Tree or myrtle, and which is a planting. And so again, to plant us, or to position us in a specific place is a strategic plan of God. And so, there's more that we can talk about with a deeper meaning of Hadassah. And that just leads itself back to Zechariah 1 and 8. And that's something that that I looked at as well. But it just kind of speaks to more if you want to read more and find more of the plantings of the Lord. And when he talks about trees, he talks about myrtles. He talks about trees of righteousness. Oaks of righteousness and plantings of the Lord. That's another one, Zechariah 1 and 8. And so with that in mind, thinking about Hadassah's life, and again, synonymous with our life, being a strategic plan of God to plant something, a tree of righteousness in a specific place. That means there's a plan and there's a purpose that he wants to use that tree, and that tree should grow and mature in that place so that it can bring forth whatever it is that was ordained by God, for the shade that it delivers, for the food and the fruit that it delivers, for the wood and the oak and the wood, whatever that it delivered, whatever that tree was established for. Make no mistake, this is a plan of God. And so we're going to read Esther 1, and we're going to talk about the testing of God. I don't know if we're going to get through all of these three tonight. So like I said, we'll continue next week. But let's start off with the testing, because again, that may be where a lot of us find ourselves, is in the testing of God. And so let's read, and we'll start with Esther 1. These events happened, and I'm reading the NLT, the New Living Translation. These events happened in the days of King Xerxes, who reigned over 127 provinces stretching from India to Ethiopia. At the time Xerxes ruled his empire from his royal throne, ruled his empire from his royal throne at the fortress of Susa. In the 3rd year of his reign, he gave a banquet for all of his nobles and officials. He invited all the military officers of Persia and Media, as well as the princes and nobles of the provinces. The celebration lasted 180 days, a tremendous display of the opulent wealth of his empire and the pomp and splendor of his majesty. This is a big old celebration that he is giving, and it's a big nature. It's not like he just gave a little mixer or something. Like this, he set aside some funds for this. He set aside, he's, probably spotlighting things and maybe highlighting things that, accomplishments of his rule, in his 3rd year or whatever. And this is a time of celebration. When it was all over, the king gave a banquet for all the people, from the greatest to the least. Everybody was invited, who were in the fortress of Susa in that area. It lasted for 7 days and was held in the courtyard of the palace garden. The courtyard was beautifully decorated with white cotton curtains, blue hangings, which were fastened with white linen cords and purple ribbons to silver rings embedded in marble pillars. This is like meticulous, like down to the bone. Hey, what's up, Shayla? Welcome in. Welcome in. So he's like, they're giving you details. Like, this is, it's not coincidental. We just threw a little mixer. No, this took some detail. So this was intentional. It was an intentional celebration, an honorable occasion. Gold and silver couches stood on the mosaic pavement of porphyry, marble, mother of pearl, and other costly stones. Drinks were served in goblets of many designs, and there was abundance of royal wine reflecting the king's generosity. By edict of the king, no limits were placed on the drinking, for the king had instructed all his palace officials to serve each man as much as he wanted. So this is from the least to the poor. Like, he's there. This is a celebration. It is something that's supposed to be on display. At the same time, Queen Vashti gave a banquet for the women in the royal palace of King Xerxes. Verse 10, on the 7th day of the feast, when King Xerxes was in high spirits because of the wine, he told 7 eunuchs who attended him, and their names are listed, to bring Queen Vashti to him with the royal crown on her head. He wanted all the nobles and all the men to gaze on her beauty, for she was a very beautiful woman. Okay. There's controversy as how she was, they say she came out. However, what we're reading for it being written is this was a display of what was his. Again, this seems like it's a celebration of his kingdom, of his rulership, of his majesty, maybe the accomplishments, and of everything else, the woman that's on his arm. Come on, the queen. And so, but when they conveyed the king's order to Queen Vashti, she refused to come. This made the king furious, and he burned with anger. He immediately consulted his wise advisors, who knew all the Persian laws and customs, for he always asked their advice. Again, they named the men, the 7 nobles of Persia and Media. They met with the king regularly and held the highest position in the empire. So they said, okay, well, the king said, what must be done to Queen Vashti? What penalty does the law provide for a queen who does not obey the king's orders, properly sent through the eunuchs? What penalty does the law provide for a queen who refuses to obey the king's orders, properly sent through his eunuchs? This is the order of God. Men, women, husbands, wives, what I'm really speaking to, this is the order of God. She's the queen, but he's the king, and it's under his order, which is under the king. One of his advisors answered the king and his nobles, Queen Vashti has wronged not only the king, but also every noble and citizen throughout the empire. Women everywhere will begin to despise their husbands when they learn that Queen Vashti has refused to appear before the king. Before this day is out, the wives of all the king's nobles throughout Persia and Media will hear what the queen did and will start treating their husbands the same way. There will be no end to their contempt and anger. So if it pleases the king, we suggest that you issue a written decree, a law of the Persians and Medes. I'm not saying it right. That cannot be revoked. It should order that Queen Vashti be forever banished from the presence of King Xerxes, and that the king should choose another queen more worthy than she. When this decree is published throughout the king's vast empire, husbands everywhere, whatever their rank, will receive proper respect from their wives. The king and his nobles thought this made good sense, so they followed the counsel. Yeah, he sent letters out to all the empire, to each province in their own script and language, proclaiming that every man should be ruler of his own home and should say whatever he pleases. So we're speaking about the order of God. And there are responsibilities and roles for the husbands and the wives. We'll just start right there. In the order of God. In the institution, and if you want to even call it that, but what God has ordained as marriage, as this partnership, as the union. They both have their roles. And it is about responsibility. It is about the purpose that they have the responsibility, that they're in that role, because it comes with that specific position. Now, Queen Vashti's role, both of them, because they're king and queen, they had influence over the people. So this not just speaks to the order of God regarding marriage, but also the order of God when he places you in a certain position. There's an influence that's there. You don't have to be way on display for you to be an influence to someone else. And that's what these nobles and these men advisors, that's what they called out. She's in a position of influence. And so there are times that God will give opportunity after opportunity for you to prove that you will do the right thing in a position, to operate with integrity, to show your growth, to lead with a pure heart. But no one knows how many opportunities. That's the thing about it. We don't know how many opportunities we're going to get where God's going to say, okay, all right, come back, let's try it again. Okay, come back, let's try it again. We don't know. And for Queen Vashti, this was the last time. This was her last opportunity. I don't know if she had opportunities in earlier. I don't know. But this called out as an opportunity that could have positively reflected other women and the people of the community and households and things like that. And she took that opportunity and she squashed it. And so we have to ask ourselves this: if God has given us a task to fulfill in a specific position, how long will we put it off? How long will we turn against it? How long will we make excuses as to why we can't do it? How long will we do what we want to do instead of what God asked us to do? Before God finally says, enough is enough. Because we have to think about that when we're called to a position, it's not just for us. It is also because, again, somebody else there needs something. They're looking for something. But just imagine if you're not in place. What would you expect God to do? Work with you to get in that place. But if you refuse, do understand he has someone else who will step in. This reminds me of Saul and David. Because Saul wasn't doing what God asked him to do. And David said, and God said, when he finally got fed up, I have found a man after my own heart. He's going to do what I need him to do. So Saul doesn't get a chance to come back now and say, okay, I'm sorry, I changed my mind. Okay, I'll do it, God. Just like Queen Vashti didn't get that opportunity. Just like sometimes we may not get that opportunity. And that's why it is important for us to obey when God is placing our feet in a place of position. Maybe she didn't realize the impact that she had, the implications of things that could arise by her not obeying. But this is why obedience is crucial to your assignment. We've got a couple of other points in Esther. That's why I was really excited to get to Esther, and I did not know how Holy Spirit was going to take us into this. I had no idea how this was going to flow. But right now, I think we're just going to sit with this first point of, can you see the plan of God unfolding? Because before we even get into, and I don't want to rush into the alignment and what comes with the assignment and everything else, first of all, can we see that this is God's hand? And if so, this is the time to obey. This is the testing of God that has gone forward, that is going forth. And you don't want to be put out of your position. You don't want for you to miss the opportunity or for you to feel like you have more time to come to the place where God is calling you to come. And so the question is, and maybe the homework is, because I am going to get offline right now, so I can go to dinner. But the question is, are you walking in obedience to where God is calling you right now? If you don't know, stop and take this question to God. Stop. Put it before him. You've got 7 days before we show back up here again. The homework is to sit before God. Are we in obedience to what he has called our feet to? That's before we can even get into the promise and into the position and everything that he called us. Are we standing in that place? That's what we need to ask ourselves. And if not, please, by all means, get there. I'm going to leave you with that. So that was Esther 1. You've got your homework. I'm going to be back online. God may even speak something before next Wednesday. But if not, that's what we're sitting with. Because when it's time to move forward with God, there is no questioning. There is no vacillating. There is no going back and forth. There is forward movement. And so right now he's calling everybody to the position. Are you in your position? All right, guys, we will talk again soon. I will see you again soon, hopefully. Y'all have a good rest of your evening. And we'll pick up again with Can You See the Plan of God Unfolding. We'll pick up with the extension of that next Wednesday. Talk to you again soon. Bye, y'all.